Things aren't the same in Colorado locker room, as Coach Prime warns Julian Lewis and company. After ACC programs tampering exposed, the transfer portal has become a live chaos. Be it an unregulated nil market or the players' loose ends of the mind that can swing with the money, it makes things very complex for the coaches. To bypass the trouble, coaches like Auburn's Matt Rule wanted to hold off the spring practice, fearing new tampering. Tennessee's Josh Heupel had to take a harsh call on Nico Iamaleava after his historic practice holdout in demand of a big-money contract. And amid the chaos, can Deion Sanders be left behind? Nah. Sanders, heading into the first season without his sons by his side, addressed the glaring issue in the mix to shield his program from any potential fallout. But what's the tea? Despite the extreme mess in governing the college football offseason, Sanders couldn't feel the effect directly so far. But as things stretched and hit the boulder, he, as always, didn't take more to lash out. Sanders kept it straight and savage. He openly called out Tony Elliott and the University of Virginia football program for attempting to tamper. Those who are unversed, the term denotes an enticing effort to snag a player from another school with some bigger paychecks before that player even hits the portal. During an eventful practice in Colorado on Thursday, Deion Sanders, in front of the camera, sent a chilling warning to fellow FBS giant, the Virginia Cavaliers, for eyeing his players with a bag, otherwise known as a large sum of nil money. Sanders had some doubts about some cryptic antics of the school. To be sanguine, he asked junior defensive back Carter Stoutmire about who offered him the money to move on from the Buffs. And the answer? Carter unhesitantly confessed it was the University of Virginia. Deion instantly moved back to the camera and adamantly addressed the $4.5 million worth head coach and his staff. Virginia, where's the camera? Virginia, you gotta stop. I let you have one. I ain't say nothing about it. Come on now, Sanders fumed in rage. Come on, we let you have one. I ain't say nothing about it, Sanders added, referring to RB Isaiah Augustov, who hit the transfer portal on Wednesday and is expected to visit the Cavaliers program. But guess what? His warning was not just about the outside program and coaches. The real motive was to whip the cat of the mistress who doesn't spin. Sanders put players on notice. Anybody got anything they want to say? Anybody planning on using us, getting on national TV, and then jumping into the portal? You know if I'm saying this, it's already known. Deion knows the nerves of his guys. Carter might be the one with a profound loyalty to the program, but not everyone will follow suit. Carter loudly said that no number exists in math that can shake up his mind to leave the Buffs behind. Deion's cutthroat message wasn't for him. Hopefully, it reached the target mass without fail, and Sanders might have managed to create the air of alert he intended to. The rest falls on the stars. However, another coach came up and divulged a safe practice for the coaches to keep a clean record of this tampering game. Dabo Swinney depicts a safe code of contact for coaches with outside players. Clemson Tigers' Dabo Swinney has expressed frustration over tampering amidst the ongoing portal unrest. Back in September, Swinney said on a weekly conference call with reporters, "There's certainly a lot of tampering from people after games, that's for sure. I've had several people over the last couple of years who have brought that up to me, or somebody's come over to them. I've had parents tell me that. That's just kind of the way it is, the way of the world right now. There aren't a lot of barriers." However, heading into the spring, Swinney had a pretty clear headspace on the lingering off-season drama. He didn't televise the Tigers' spring game and made it clear that it was not out of his fear to avoid the coaches and scouts. Rather, the veteran head coach believes you can't run from the tampering. If players don't want to stay, they won't anyway. So, that's not a concern. What feels more disturbing to him is that people often don't understand the fine line between being pushy and being communicative with the players. Swinney said he doesn't take any risks. He usually limits his post-game communication with opposing players to handshakes. He added, "I ain't going over there saying, 'Hey man, if you hate it there, come play for us.' I don't do any of that stuff. On the road, I try to congratulate players, but I don't get involved with any of that stuff. I think that's probably pretty obvious." Coaches can take note and avoid future disruption. And of course, a pair of red eyes from the Colorado head coach. Insider dampens Deion Sanders' vision as 5'13". YDQB emerges as real threat to son Shadur's draft dignity. The quarterback hoopla has never spun without a little chaos. But few predicted this late twist in the 2025 NFL draft script. Colorado's Shadur Sanders, once locked in as a top 5 pick, now finds himself going down in the slippery slope of draft boards. And while Deion Sanders still believes his son's arm and mind are NFL ready, some insiders are casting doubt on whether Shadur has enough superhero flair to justify that first-round status. Here enters a 6'2" Mississippi boy, whose name is suddenly surging into the conversation as he's threatening to leapfrog Sanders at the 11th hour. But on college football sports with his Smoke Hip Hop Live, host DJ Bless One pulled no punches while pointing to Jackson Dart's smiling photo on screen. Jackson Dart, who's over here by me, he will be getting drafted before Shadur Sanders, he straight up said. This is something I just found. I've been looking at it for a while. How things been progressing. Bless One outlined a subtle shift, a trend most hadn't picked up on. Certain teams quietly shifting their focus from the well-hyped Shadur Sanders to the Ole Miss QB. Jackson Dart, prior to this 3-month period, just like every situation when it comes to the draft, he was predicted a 2-day draft pick at best, he explained. What changed? Momentum. The Ole Miss quarterback, who was a former USC quarterback, just embarrassing moments going on. Nobody gets this type of situation and this type of luxury unless you know certain guaranteed things are happening. Bless One sounded like a man who'd seen this movie before. Now what's going on right now? I'ma just be honest with you. Jackson is also he had an announcement on the 14th that he's being invited to the NFL draft out of nowhere. Well, the hype? Understable. He's the word of mouth now. Now he has an invite. Never had one before. Didn't even talk about going. Now he has an invite. So he's guaranteed to be in the top 10. Blessone's projection? I predict he will be in the top 6. He will go over Shadur. That said, Bless One wasn't sold on Jackson Dart's actual tape. Jackson Dart hasn't showed me he's an NFL talent like that at all, bro. The only thing he possesses is the frame, Bless One said. But we've seen a lot of quarterbacks like Blake Bortles, who are 6'5" and above. What does that mean? He continued, just the same way we've seen the Russell Wilsons of the world, Drew Brees, who are 6 foot and under, and they outperform their prototype counterparts. Stop telling me about how these type of quarterbacks look, how they're marketable. Are they top-giving players that are worthy of the selection? Still, it's not just internet chatter fueling Dart's rise. Word is that several teams, including the New York Giants, are interested in the 6'2" Mississippi kid. Fox Sports insider Jordan Schultz revealed that Dart won't fall out of the first round, citing several sources. One scenario making the rounds. If the Giants take Travis Hunter or Penn State's Abdul Carter with the number 3 pick, they might trade up from number 34 to snatch Dart before he slips past them. It's more than just a speculative smoke signal. Giants HC Brian Dable reportedly likes Dart's swashbuckling style and flair for the dramatic. For a franchise that's been starved for swagger at QB, that might be enough. The irony? This sudden Dart renaissance has inadvertently pulled Shadur's resume under the microscope. Yes, he's the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. Yes, he has thrown for over 3,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. But with so much NFL emphasis on intangibles, interviews, and public perception, especially following that arrogant label from a combined coach, his evaluation seems to be shifting from what's on tape to what's in the room. If there's one thing draft season proves every year, it's that narratives move faster than 40 times. One day you're top 5, next you're watching someone else snag your invite. From the Steelers' POV on Shadur Sanders and Jackson Dart. If you're hoping the Steelers would take a swing at a QB like Shadur Sanders or Jackson Dart with the 21st pick, you might want to pump the brakes. At least if you're listening to NFL scout and analyst Matt Williamson. In his eyes, this year's QB class isn't exactly bursting with elite, can't-miss talent. Dart, no. Sanders, maybe. Only at 21, not to trade up, Williamson said bluntly when asked if either QB is worth a first-round selection. It's not that he hates their games, he's just not convinced they move the needle, especially when you look around the AFC. The Steelers have to compete with Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. The superheroes, Williamson pointed out. I want to aim higher than Shadur Sanders, whether that's this draft or, more likely, next draft. He gave Shadur the credit for being accurate, tough, and composed, but added he's not physically unique. As for Dart, There's some raw talent there, sure, but Williamson thinks he's further away from being a good NFL quarterback. In a conference filled with QB Avengers, the Steelers can't afford to settle for just okay.